Click on the Analytics icon. In this section of Blackboard Ultra, you can access various types of data about your course. For example, let's run a report about the current status of our midterm exam by clicking here. Then we click on the link that opens the report. Here, we gain access to some interesting insights. We can see the average score, we see the number of questions possible, how many students have completed the exam, and the average time it takes them to do it. When we scroll down, we can see this box entitled Discrimination. Blackboard uses an algorithm to determine how accurate your questions are at differentiating between strong and weak students. Here we see that the system says 2 out of 4 questions are good, which tells me I need to look into the other 2. We also have a box here labeled Difficulty. Again, Blackboard uses an algorithm to determine if questions are too easy or too hard for students to answer correctly. By scrolling down again, we can drill deeper into the analytics by clicking on the questions. Here we access data about question 1. We see the question here, we see that 6 students answered it, we also see that every student answered this correctly. So Blackboard determines this is too easy and is unable to calculate whether this is a good question for distinguishing between strong and weak students. We can click here to jump straight to another question, or we can scroll through questions by clicking here. Now, for question 2, Blackboard suggests this is a good question because it has a medium level of difficulty, meaning some students answered it correctly, whilst others didn't. As for question 3, none of my students answered it accurately. Therefore, Blackboard says this question is too hard, and even suggests that I should review this question before reusing it in future assessments. Finally, with question 4, again, this is relatively easy, but it does manage to discriminate between students' levels. Blackboard suggests I should review this question. I can do this by clicking on Edit Assessment, which takes me directly to the midterm exam and allows me to make changes. Okay, let's return back to the main content area and consider data analytics from another perspective. Let's open the Week 2 Lesson 2 folder and go to the midterm exam. If I click here, I can see that student activity is listed as an option. Let's click on it. Now, rather than analyzing the exam and its questions, we can actually analyze student performance. We can see how many students have or have not completed the exam, we can see how long it takes them to submit it, and we can see the grade distribution very clearly here. By clicking on the chart, we can drill down further and see which students performed well by name. Here, we see that Hiba and Hira scored the highest marks. We can then repeat this for students who scored lower. When we scroll down, we can see even further details about our students and their individual performances, such as their grades and the time it took each of them to complete it. I noticed that Noor Al-Dalaimi has not yet taken the midterm exam, so I click here and see that I can send her a message directly from this panel. This is a very helpful feature which honestly streamlines some of my workflow. By clicking on this icon here, I can change the view and see even more data about my students' performance. I encourage you to explore these data analytics and to make the most out of this amazing tool.